All right, Bob,
So,
get
14
a
years.
little closer to Joe like you know her.
Hey, I like you guys.
Hi, Joe.
Oh, ho, ho. Shoulders to
Here we are.
shoulders, ladies and germs. Hello.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Pomona. This, of course, is the Grand National Roadster Show for yet another day. And again, welcome to join us here. Some neat cars, Bob. I'll tell you, we're in front of one right now that's incredible.
You know, I always liked the A100 Dodge pickup trucks when they came out. I always thought they were neat. You had the wheel standers that were out there. But now someone has taken it to another degree. This one won't do a wheel stand, but damn, it's slammed beautifully.
Isn't it, though? Let's take a look at this. This is an A100. Typical Dodge from the 60s, and again, with a little added incentive in the back. Take a look at this.
I mean, that's a race motor. Dual plug Hemi with a supercharger. Keith Black motor, dual magnetos. I mean, this thing is, you'd find that engine in a top fuel car.
Absolutely. And take a look at the paint job on this. It looks like we're at a concert, basically everybody holding up a candle, but that is metal flake to the extreme.
Oh, it is an amazing car. It's a 3334 Ford, and it is just beautiful. Squeeged out of Arizona, put together an amazing car, and it is full cage. It's a race car, probably driven a lot on the street, not very much time on a track.
Look who's here. It's the one, the only Joe Coddington joining us here at the Grand National Roadster Show. Randy Cardoon and Hot Rod Bob. Well, Joe, what's your impressions? And you probably don't do impressions, but if you had impressions, what would you say about some of the stuff you've seen?
Do you know, it's a fantastic show, as always. And I really appreciate what John Buck started last year as far as having all of the Hall of Fame people lined up and do autographs.
That was
And
good.
it's phenomenal. And I could not believe the people that were thanking me for
Good.
being there.
Good,
And,
nice.
and, you know,
Well, you know,
one guy
recognition.
one guy bought 3 of my books. For
Really?
each of his daughters and his wife. And he said, you know, I read it in the garage. I got something out of it too. And I went,
Oh,
you know, I
good.
was, like,
Very
super
good.
happy. And then a couple kids from Massachusetts bought one of Boyd's old trucks, one of his first trucks.
Oh, wow.
And I actually had seen it at Dino's Get Down,
Mhm.
and I filmed it. I had no idea who owned it. And then they came up and the Hall of Fame autograph.
Oh,
Oh,
and
wow.
told me who they were. And yeah, it was great.
That's
So,
cool.
I don't know. You know, Grand National has always been a special show for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Grand Nationals brings out the best, brings out the history, brings out so many different cars. Last year, I remember they had the past AMBR winners in
That
one of
was
the buildings.
fabulous.
And that was amazing how they came out. And as a kid, I remembered some of them from when I was younger, but some of the newer ones were great. And it gave some credibility to why they have AMBR.
right.
Mhm.
And I think it's important that everybody gets a piece of the history, because some of the younger people, like my grandkids know because they've grown up with it, you
Right.
know, but so many of their friends have no idea
No.
what AMBR is. Like, what kind of acronym are you saying?
Amber, that's an orangey yellow color, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's neat, though, to try and get everybody and kids to understand the history of the, I call this a sport, but certainly car culture in itself is something that was certainly evolving over the years.
Yeah. And you got a lot of cars that are out there that people build because they remembered the car from when they were a kid.
Absolutely.
And they
Yeah,
want
the
something
Hot
like that.
Wheels.
The Hot Wheels, yeah. Or I can remember Matchbox,
Yes.
or even starting to build AMT models.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And I can remember my dad started me with a Revell model of a Lincoln Continental. And that was the first model car I had ever seen, let alone built. He did the painting, and I watched basically and helped. And then I started building models, and it got to the point where I had hundreds of models. Some of them were actually built. I've probably got about 30 in the garage right now that I haven't taken out of the box yet.
What year Lincoln we talking about, Bob?
56.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
The predecessor to the Batmobile.
There you go.
kind of. Well, it was not even based on that. It was a one-off body. It was only for the
I don't think the
Continental.
model was based on the Batmobile. No.
No, the body was based on it was a Ford Futura, and then Barris got it for whatever, $1,
Right.
and converted it and made it into the Batmobile.
But if you take a look at the front end, I'm going to press this. If you take a look at the front end of the Batmobile and the front end of the 56 Lincoln.
Yes,
Lincoln.
but not the Continental. Continental had a
Well-
completely different body.
Oh, you're talking about
the two-door.
the two-door coupe.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah. Now that was a totally unique car, and the story that I've read is that Ford lost money on every one of them
I've heard
because
that.
they cost them over 10 grand in 1956 to build, or that's what they could sell it for,
Mhm.
but they couldn't build them for that.
You
because
know,
it was
Chip
that unique.
Foose here has a 56,
Yep.
and it's a convertible.
Right. It's out
And they
there.
never made a convertible.
No.
However, I was going through Collectible Automobile magazine,
Right.
and surprise, surprise, apparently it was planned to build one. They were going to build one, but somewhere along the line, Ford pulled the plug before they actually did.
Yeah.
And now, at least Chip isn't. I haven't seen the thing open up, so I don't know if they're using the back trunk opening up
know.
and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's probably the only time many of us have ever seen that model in a convertible form.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, Joe, you're still involved heavily with the automotive industry and the aftermarket.
I
What
love
are you
that.
up to lately?
You know, lately, well, I have Coddington Speed Shop,
Okay.
which is basically an online speed shop. Right now, I have, like Hushmat and Zycor products, and I'm going to be bringing in Webam. I love their car care line.
Okay.
And but right now, I'm pretty heavy in suspension for Jeeps and D10s. So, but I'm having a great time with that. And then, of course, my car shows. And, you asked me about one car.
Uh-huh.
Did you see the original Boydster? The red Boydster in front of the AMBR?
I did see it, and I'm trying to remember. You go ahead.
I would take that one home.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the
I
sentimental
I
choice.
kind of girl fanned all over it.
Mhm. I can understand why. I can understand why. Well, that's a good answer. We got a good answer out of that.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful car.
Very
It
good.
is
Very good.
Over 30 years old, and looks amazing.
Still looks brand new.
Yeah,
I mean, it still looks contemporary as can be.
Mhm. Well, that's really cool. And I think it's just so fun to see you here. And Bob and I have talked about this often, is when we come here, for us at least, and certainly for a lot of people who have been here before, it's like old home week,
It is. It is.
you know?
You guys are all really my family,
Oh,
and even if we only see each other once a year, I get to see Bob a couple more times, but
yeah,
usually I only get to see him maybe once, twice a year.
right.
It's so meaningful to me,
Mhm. That is nice.
Yeah. My wife has that same dream for me.
What, to only
Was
see
it
one
once
two
or twice
times
a year?
See you once or twice a year.
I'll give her one of my books.
Hi-oh, Big Bob. Yeah, he'll be at the Yucca Cafe coming up, Waka Waka Cafe, a
At
little
the
bit
comedy
later on.
store on aisle 5 doing cleanup. Yeah.
That's right. Absolutely true. So, well, very good. Thanks for coming by and giving us a little bit of your time. Good to see you as always. Look forward to next year or whatever next event we run into you at.
Exactly.
And one day, I'm sure maybe Bob and I will go to Wisconsin.
Oh, wouldn't that be great? I would love to have
That
you
would be
guys
fun.
come at the Iola Car Show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
be-
yeah.
wouldn't that be
I
interesting?
see the pictures of that. I
Yes.
got to get to that.
Yes.
Yeah. I've got a young lady here who's just a little bit bigger than her car, not much. She's petite, she's tiny, she's from Japan, and she's driving a beautiful little Vega, drag racing it. Tell us a little bit about your car and why you got into drag racing.
All right, so I got this car from my dad's friend. He actually gave it to me a while ago, and this car used to be blue. When he owned it, we painted it pink. The reason why I got into drag racing is my dad, he's the owner of Moon Ice, and we sponsor NHRA for the Gym Down Racing. And I was I was seeing the drag racing ever since I was a child, and I wanted to be a racer one day. That was my dream when I was a child.
All right, now you brought the car out to the Moon Ice Christmas party. We raced here at Pomona at the drag strip. Had you driven the car before on a racetrack?
Yes, I have in Japan a couple times, but that was my first time driving in America.
Okay. And now, what do you have for an engine in this car?
It's a small block engine.
And you ran, if I remember correctly, like 8-9 second ET.
Yes, something like that.
Something like that. It was a long time ago. That was back in December. That was all last year.
Right.
So, yeah, it's hard to remember. Now, what made you paint it pink?
I thought it would stand out because no many people having that pink racing car. So I thought it'd be cool to have a pink race car so they'll stand out everywhere and anywhere I go.
And how did you come up with the name?
Sparely Fairly? I don't know. I thought it would be cute.
It is. It goes along with you quite well. So what are your plans? Do you want to get this car to go faster, or are you all right with it as it is?
I'm all right with it, but I would, yeah, if it goes faster, that'll be fun. I'm an adrenaline junkie, so that'll be fun, but I don't know. I don't want any dangerous things, so.
All right, well, you still beat your dad, so that's good.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And Emmy's here with us here at the Grand National Roadster Show. Thanks, Emmy. You've got a beautiful car. Thank you for talking with us.
When we were at the big event in Pomona, we got some big news that was kind of worrisome. The fact that Ed Iskydarian was moving into hospice, and we've had him on the show. Bob was able to get him to come on the show for like 3 straight years to join us and chat a little bit from the Grand National Roadster Show. And he ended up passing on February 4th at 104 years young. Bob, you knew him way back when?
Yeah, when I started building my 48 Plymouth Coupe 40 years ago, the race director from Iskandarian was a friend. We knew each other from working at races. And I asked him if he could grind a cam for my 1948 Plymouth Flathead 6. I was building a traditional car, and I wanted to keep the flathead in it. But I wanted a cam. I wanted a little bit more horsepower. He said, no problem. Bring me the cam. We'll get it for you. Well, I brought him the cam. A couple of weeks later, he calls me up and says, hey, your cam's ready. I said, oh, all right, great. Just bring it up to the track on Saturday. He goes, no, you got to come get it. I said, where am I coming? And he goes, you're coming to Isky's shop, the headquarters. Well, at the time, I was working for an automotive manufacturer just down the street. So it was easy for me to just run over at lunchtime, pick up a cam and go back. And he said, no, take the day off. You're going to need it. And that's when he introduced me to Ed. He walked me into Ed's office, which was a maze of things. Ed was what's known as a hoarder.
I was going to say, it sounds like in fact, isn't it interesting how so many of the guys in the auto industry with that kind of creative brain, George Barris comes to mind, these guys, you go into their offices, you can barely find their offices.
Yeah, I walked in. Ed knew where everything was. It didn't matter what stack it was. I mean, some of the stacks were 4 feet tall, and Ed knew exactly what part of the stack to pull to get the paper he needed. But anyway, I got introduced to Ed. Ed then gave me a complete tour of the facility, manufacturing, and his storage area, I guess you could say, out back, where he had a multitude of things, some related, some unrelated. He had backup machines, but they were all outside. Well, outside is rust prone. So everything had a nice reddish tone to it, but it was amazing to meet the guy. And
I think they called it a patina, right?
Yeah, really. Yeah, okay. Casino, that'll work. So then we went to lunch, and he went to the same place every day. And you know, just talking with him at the time was amazing. Over the years, I would see him, we would talk, and as time went by, he would not necessarily remember my name complete. Now, he would remember my first name, or he'd remember my last name, or he'd remember what I do, but not all three at the same time. So it was quite interesting. And but he always remembered me. He'd look at me, he'd point and go, "You're announcer," or "You're Bob Beck. That's who you are." And it was just we'd laugh about it, and I go, "Yeah, Ed," and then everything would come to mind, and we'd start talking, and they go, "You've got that old coupe." "Yeah, Ed. Yeah, you did the cam for it. How's it running?" Well, I never told him I changed the engine, but I said, "It's running great, Ed." And so we would always talk. And then last year he came up by me. I do the car show function for the Amarillo Air Show every year. Ed is ex-Air Force, World War II, or Army Air Corps, I believe it was at the time. And he learned to be a mechanic. He was not in the business at all, and they figured he knew how to work on cars, so he could be a mechanic on airplanes. And I believe he was stationed someplace out of the war zone itself, so he was pretty happy. He was safe, but that got him started on what he was doing. So at the air show, it was heavy military equipment, aircraft, and so forth. We gave him a tour. The person that was in charge got us a cart, and we took them all over, and then took them to a veterans organization who had a booth to meet and greet, and they were just beside themselves. Here's a 104-year-old World War II veteran. Now, it's hard enough to find a World War II veteran, but someone who's over 100 years old, that was just amazing. Well, they chatted with him for about an hour, gave him a new hat to wear, and he was very proud of that, the Veterans Organization hat. And to this day, when I go to the Veterans Club meeting, they still talk about him and meeting him, because although the guys that in this organization are Vietnam veterans, very few had ever met a World War II veteran other than someone in their family. So to see someone, especially like I said, someone 104 years old, they were just amazed, and they fawned over him. It was great. Ed loved it. That night we went to dinner, and with a friend, Robin Millar, and a band was playing. Ed took Robin up to the dance floor, and they danced. 104 years old, and he's moving to the tunes.
Wow.
So he was an amazing guy. I mean, you can't say I can't say anything negative about him. He told me some stories when I first met him, and he was the first president of what is known as SEMA,
Oh, wow.
and he got that distinction by missing a meeting. And when he came back to the next meeting, they said, "By the way, you're the president. You missed the last meeting. You were elected."
There's a moral to that story, I think, for
There
just about
is.
anybody who's ever been part of a car club, I think.
No, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I have to say, same situation. But knowing Ed, seeing him whenever he was at a race, for 30 years, I did the California Hot Rod Reunion and Bowling Green for a number of years. And Ed would always come up to the tower at the California Hot Rod Reunion, and we'd chat. There's always downtime, or oil down, or someone breaks on the starting line, whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
So he was always someone I could depend on to be in the tower, and we'd just sit there and chat. The last time that I did that with him, it was recorded on video. And 2 years ago, they put together a documentary on Ed. I'm in it, and it's
Wow.
me interviewing Ed, and I go, I mean, I'm blown away by
Where
this.
can people find that?
I don't know where it is right now. I know
YouTube,
they were
maybe,
trying,
or
well, I know they were trying to run through all the hoops that they had to get it so they could release it commercially. And the last I heard, it wasn't commercially available yet.
Okay.
But I'm sure now, with his passing, it'll have a more sense of urgency to bring it out.
Well, so many people have known him over the years, and he is as I've seen written, legend doesn't seem to do him justice. He's been, and again, he was wowing the car community in the 30s, not his 30s, but the 1930s. Okay, that tells you a little bit there, and he's still knocking them out here in the 2000s and the 2020s. So
Yeah,
sad loss to the car community. A couple of years ago, we had a chance to talk to Isky, and this is kind of a little of how that interview went.
And joining us, as you may recognize, the one, the only Ed Iskandarian, the legend himself, has come over to stop by and discuss talk radio from the 60s and 50s with us. We were mentioning what? Okay, so you remember Joe Pine?
Joe Pine, and the names escape me now. That was,
I can't imagine why.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
He's 102 years old. He should be 103 soon. That's your biggest accomplishment. I'll tell you right there, getting to be around that long. And of course, everything you've done in the world of auto racing. What is it coming to this event, the Grand National Roadster Show, mean to you?
well, it's great because we used to go to Oakland for this show. That was the only show there was.
Yeah.
Oakland, California. Wow. That was a treat to go up there.
And
Yeah.
you got a beautiful little roadster you built.
Uh-huh.
Tell us a little bit about that, because it is so iconic that they recreated it.
Well, when we first saw little gout jobs go by in our neighborhood, we were lucky the Bug Holders Club had two guys that were members lived in our neighborhood.
You know?
And then so we could go over there and watch them work on their cars, because we were bicycle riders, and we saved up until we could buy a Model T for $10 in the backyard. Been sitting about a year with 4 flat tires, and we pushed it home.
Oh.
And the guys in the Bug Holders Club got it running for us.
Oh, wow. Now, how
And
old were you when you did that?
12 years old, 12 or 13. When I first saw my hot rods go by with a loud exhaust pipe, it's sort of a home-built race car.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they were just street jobs, and for recreation they'd camp up in the mountains sometimes, up to maybe 5 or 10 cars,
Yeah.
and then we heard about Muroc Dry Lake, where you could try them out for top speed. 20 miles long, which is now Andrews Air Force Base. And man, they said, you want to see a lot, you'll see 100 cars up there. And sure enough, there were 100 cars up there in line.
I'm just still trying to get over the fact that at the age of 12, you could buy a car for $10
sometimes,
a lot of
Model
money.
T.
And it was a lot of money back when he was 12.
Yeah, the average salary at that
That was 90 years ago.
less
Yeah.
than $1 an hour.
Wow.
Yeah. So so Model Ts were the most plentiful.
Yeah.
And then so we'd go to these different Bonneville. New York Dry Lake was where we see so many cars from all over California, maybe some from Arizona. Oh, it was what could be more fun than this? I said, that's right. This is what we like. And so we kept learning and learning and we had kind of a little junky car at first, and so finally we built a little better car next time. So, but you learn by. That's how these guys, older guys, they were 5 or 10 years older, and they'd tell us what cars, where to get this part from a certain car, like a Franklin front axle, a Franklin steering, Cadillac gas tank, all these different
Told you
things.
what parts to use.
Huh?
They told you what parts to use.
Yeah.
All right, now
and what to look for.
you built a Model T. I saw it in the back of your shop years ago when we first met.
Yeah.
It's a V8.
Yeah.
It says Iskandarian on it.
Yeah. All right. Here's what happened. We got tired of the Model T engine, and we found that this flathead Ford V8 looked like a racing engine to us.
Okay.
So finally, we bought a late 36 from the wrecking yard, and now we could go about 85 miles an hour.
Okay.
But anyway, then we no overhead valve V8 engines. We heard that Chevrolet had one in 1917, was it?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
And we could never find one, of course. But then we heard there's a guy that has some Maxi MAXI heads, F heads,
Yeah.
and and it was if the intake was in the head, we'd get good breathing. But this was just backwards. This was made to keep the V8 Ford cool in hot weather.
Right.
Okay.
And truck use, you know. So for $26, we went downtown LA to a man called Rex A. Head, Head. And he took care of you didn't know him?
Apparently not personally, no.
Well, a guy named Radke, he's during the wars over in Australia, and Rex A. Head and Radke meet there on a bus in downtown Sydney, Australia, and they just say hi Rex, just like they met over there. They were friends from here in California.
Okay.
So
that was an overhead valve head. You
you had it on. And I made little valve covers for it. Right. That's what I did.
Yep.
To make it look like a overhead valve V8. So that's what I done.
So it wasn't an overhead valve?
It was overhead on the exhaust only.
Only on the exhaust. Okay.
Didn't do much good. Or any good, maybe.
And
Winfield made me a special cam for it.
There you go.
And that's how I met Winfield, because he was the old master, born in 1901.
Okay.
And passed away in 1981. So he showed me his cam grinder. I was fascinated. Wow. And he showed me some of the tricky things they could do with it.
Yeah.
And
you copied
and I made
improved.
Yeah, I made he made that. You buy a regular cylindrical grinder, which is cheaper, and it's got your big grinding wheel and everything.
Right.
But now you put this attachment on there that'll rock back and forth to do the cam.
Yeah. Okay.
And he showed me how he did that. And after the war, they say that he knew I was going to try and make cams, but he was retiring now, and he would have helped me. Anyway, in later years, I'd go there for consult with him all the time. I said, I ought to pay you because you're teaching me a lot of things about the old days when, in the 50s and 20s, when he was racing on the racetracks with Model Ts and doing a lot of winning.
Ed Iskandarian, one of our interviews we had a few years ago with him at the Grand National Roadster Show. And again, he was so nice to come on, Bob, and he talked to us. It seemed it was one of his stops, which is so cool for us to be in that situation, to have a legend like him come by and chat. It was always a lot of fun, and we will all miss him in the car community.
Yes. He was an icon. Without him, I don't know where the camshaft business would actually be, because he didn't invent it, but he sure as heck perfected it.
Mm-hmm. Well, that'll do it for this second episode of ours from the Grand National Roadster Show. We do have one more to do, and we're going to show you even more cars in our next episode. So stick around for that. That'll drop the next Tuesday at about 3:30 in the afternoon. That's 3:30 Pacific time,
4:30 Mountain Time, Central Time. It'll be at 5:30, 6:30 in the Eastern Time, and at 7:30 it'll be Celebrity Bowling. But thank you. And again, that'll be coming up. And we're going to have Tom Mosier with the Hollywood Car Museum out in Southern California. We also have a few other guys we're going to be talking to as well, so you're going to not want to miss that. We thank you so much for joining us. For Hot Rod Bob, I'm Randy Cardoon. We'll see you next time. I'm talking about cars with Randy and Hot Rod Bob podcast. By the way, don't forget, like us, make a message of how we're doing, and don't forget to subscribe. We're trying to get to that magic 1,000 mark. Woohoo!
Yeah.
Please join us.
Share.
Exactly. All right, guys. Take care, everybody. All right.